The hall was already loud when Lena arrived, filled with music, clinking glasses, and voices layered with forced joy. Gold lights hung from the ceiling, reflecting off polished floors, making everything look warmer than it felt to her. She paused, near the entrance, taking a breath, knowing exactly what awaited her inside. Family events always carried this weight. Tonight, it pressed harder than usual. This was Sana's engagement, a celebration meant to be happy and harmless. Lena had promised herself she would smile, stay quiet, and leave early. She walked forward, her steps calm, her face composed. Relatives turned, some greeting her kindly, others with curious glances that lingered a little too long. She felt them, measuring her, silently counting years, achievements, and absences. Her parents stood near the center of the room, surrounded by relatives. Her mother looked proud, her father relaxed, laughing louder than necessary. Lena watched them for a moment, hoping against experience that tonight might be different, that they would simply greet her and move on. It didn't take long. "Well, here she is," her mother said, her voice carrying easily over the music. "Lena, come here." Lena stepped closer, already feeling her chest tighten. An aunt smiled too brightly. "We were just talking about you." Her father chuckled. "Yes, about how busy you are these days. Always working, always in a hurry." Lena nodded politely. "It's been a busy year." Her mother tilted her head, eyes sharp with practiced concern. "And your fiancé? Still busy too?" The word landed like a small, soft but precise. A few people leaned in. Someone laughed. Quietly. "Oh, that fiancé," her father added, shaking his head with mock disbelief. "The one who never shows up." More laughter followed, light and careless. Lena felt the familiar heat rise in her face, but she kept her voice steady. "He's working abroad right now." "Of course he is," her mother said, smiling. "Always abroad, always unavailable." "It must be hard," an uncle said, pretending sympathy. "Being engaged to someone no one has met." Her father raised his glass. "Maybe one day we'll finally meet this mystery man." The group laughed again, louder this time. It wasn't cruel, not openly. That was the worst part. It was dressed as humor, as concern, as family warmth. But Lena heard what lay underneath. Disbelief, judgment, and quiet embarrassment. She forced a smile. "Excuse me," she said, stepping away. As she moved through the room, the laughter followed her like an echo. She didn't look back. She already knew their expressions: amused, satisfied, certain they were right. This wasn't new. It had started 2 years ago, the first time she mentioned Adam. She had spoken carefully then, choosing her words with hope. She had talked about his work, his values, how calm he made her feel. At first, her parents had listened, nodding, asking questions. But time passed, visits were delayed, plans postponed. Doubt grew quietly. Soon, the jokes began. At first, they were small. Is he shy? Is he real? Lena laughed along, brushing it off. But the jokes didn't stop. They spread. Relatives repeated them. Her parents never corrected anyone. Sometimes they added their own. They said they worried. They said they were protecting her. But never once did they ask if their words hurt. Tonight, standing alone near the drinks table, Lena felt something shift inside her. It wasn't anger. Not yet. It was clarity. A sharp understanding that this wasn't misunderstanding anymore. It was a choice. They had chosen comfort over trust, appearances over her truth. She took a glass of water, her hands steady despite the noise inside her head. She remembered the message from that morning, the one she hadn't answered. Adam, I'll come tonight. I think it's time. She had stared at the screen for a long time before locking her phone. She hadn't wanted this. Not like this. She had hoped the pressure would fade, that patience would win. But patience had only taught them they could laugh without consequence. Across the room, her mother glanced at her, then leaned toward another relative. Lena didn't hear the words, but she recognized the look. Pity mixed with mild frustration. The look that said she makes things difficult. That was the moment Lena understood the betrayal clearly. It wasn't just that they doubted her. It was that they were comfortable doubting her in public. Comfortable turning her life into entertainment. The music swelled as the couple-to-be stepped onto the stage. Applause filled the hall. Lena clapped along, her expression calm, her thoughts racing. She felt strangely detached, as if she were watching herself from a distance. She wasn't imagining Adam. She wasn't lying, but she was being treated like someone who did. Her phone vibrated in her hand. Adam, I'm nearby. Her breath caught. The future split open in front of her. One path led to silence, to swallowing the pain as she always had. The other led straight through the center of the room, into confrontation she had avoided for years. She looked at her parents again. Her father laughed at something someone said, unaware. Her mother adjusted her departure, smiling politely, proud of how everything looked. Lena's grip tightened around her phone. She wasn't seeking drama. She wasn't craving revenge for its own sake. But something inside her demanded balance. Not to hurt them, but to stop being hurt so easily. Tonight the jokes would end. She didn't know yet how the night would unfold. She didn't know what it would cost her. But as she stood there, surrounded by voices that never truly heard her, Lena made a quiet promise to herself. She would no longer let her truth be treated like a joke. And somewhere beyond the doors of the hall, footsteps were already approaching. The noise of the hall faded into the background as Lena moved away from the crowd. Applause rose and fell, but she barely heard it. Her mind was busy replaying every word spoken about her that night, every laugh that had landed too easily. She walked toward the terrace doors, pushing them open and stepping into the cooler air. The city lights outside blinked calmly. Unaware of the storm inside her, she leaned against the railing and let out a slow breath. Her phone rested in her palm, screen dark now, but heavy with meaning. Adam was close. That single fact changed everything. For months, she had endured comments with silence. Tonight, silence felt like surrender. She told herself this wasn't about anger. It was about respect. Yet the line between the two felt thin. Behind her, voices drifted from the hall. Someone mentioned her name, followed by soft laughter. Lena closed her eyes. She remembered every family dinner where questions turned sharp. Every call where her mother sighed too loudly. Every moment her father avoided defending her. They never said she lied, but they acted like it. That was enough. She straightened, thinking clearly now. If Adam walked in, the room would change. Faces would shift. Stories would break. The power would move from them to her. The thought gave her a sense of control she hadn't felt in years. But control came with a cost. What would this do to her parents? Would they feel ashamed, or only surprised? Would they apologize, or explain their behavior away? Lena didn't know. She only knew that once Adam stepped inside, nothing could be taken back. Her cousin Sana joined her on the terrace, closing the door softly behind her. "You okay?" she asked. Lena nodded, though it wasn't fully true. Sana followed her gaze. I heard them earlier, she said carefully. They don't know when to stop. They think it's funny, Lena replied. Or useful, maybe both. They're scared, Sana said. About what people think. That's never stopped them before. Lena said. Silence settled between them. Sana didn't argue. She didn't need to. Inside, Lena felt the pull of two choices. One urged her forward, toward exposure and relief. The other whispered caution, warning her that proving a point could deepen wounds instead of healing them. Her phone buzzed again. Adam, I'm at the entrance. Should I come in? Her heart started to race. This was the moment she had imagined, feared, avoided. The plan, if it could be called that, had formed quietly over months. She hadn't told Adam everything, how often she was mocked. How small she felt at family gatherings. She had protected him from that ugliness. Now he stood at the door, ready to step into it for her. She typed, then erased. Typed again. Inside the hall, her mother's voice rose, warm and proud, praising Sana's future. Lena listened closely. That same voice had carried laughter at her expense just minutes earlier. The contrast stung. What if this turns into something worse? Sana asked softly. What if they feel attacked? Lena looked at her cousin. And what if I do nothing? She asked. What if they keep laughing? Sana didn't answer right away. Then you stay quiet, she said finally. Like always. That settled it. Lena wasn't planning revenge the way stories often told it. There was no desire to humiliate or insult. She didn't want raised voices or tears. What she wanted was recognition. She wanted the truth to stand in the open, solid, and undeniable. She typed a short reply. Lena, come in. Her hand shook slightly as she sent it. The seconds that followed felt stretched and unreal. She stayed on the terrace, listening for sounds from inside, footsteps, gasps, sudden silence. Her thoughts raced ahead. She imagined her parents' faces, the confusion, the questions. She imagined herself speaking calmly, explaining nothing, letting reality do the work. Still, doubt lingered. She thought of her mother, who had given up so much and measured love through sacrifice. Of her father, who believed strength meant control and certainty. They weren't monsters. They were flawed, shaped by fear and habit. Did they deserve this shock? Lena pressed her lips together. She wasn't doing this to punish them. She was doing it to stop being punished herself. The terrace door opened again, but this time it was a waiter stepping out, not Adam. Lena's nerves stretched tighter. Every sound felt like a signal. Inside, the engagement ceremony continued. Cheers rose, plates clattered. The world moved on, unaware of the line about to be crossed. Lena's mind returned to the past. How Adam had encouraged her to stand up for herself, never forcefully, always patiently. He had seen how she shrank around her family, how she softened her words to avoid conflict. He had once told her, "You don't owe anyone proof, but you do owe yourself honesty." Tonight, honesty was walking through the door. She checked her phone again. No new message. Her breath caught. Had he hesitated? Had he changed his mind? Then she heard it. A subtle shift in sound from inside. Not loud, just different. A pause in conversation, like a ripple moving through water. Lena's chest tightened. Sana glanced at the door. That might be him, she said. Lena nodded, unable to speak. This was no longer about revenge. It was about consequence. She understood that now. Once the truth appeared, it would force everyone to react. Some would apologize. Some would justify themselves. Some would pretend nothing had happened. She would remember who did what. The door opened again, letting warm light spill onto the terrace. Lena didn't turn yet. She gave herself one final moment of stillness, grounding herself. Whatever happened, next she would face it without shouting. Without blame. She would not become what she resented. As footsteps crossed the threshold behind her, Lena straightened her shoulders. Her heart pounded, but her resolve held. She was done hiding, done shrinking, done letting others define her truth. Tonight, the balance would shift not through cruelty, but through clarity. And whether it healed or hurt, it would finally be real. Adam entered the hall without drawing attention to himself, yet the room reacted instantly. Conversations slowed, then stopped. A few heads turned. Someone near the entrance went quiet mid-sentence. Lena felt the change before she saw it. The air shifted, heavy and alert, like everyone sensed something unexpected had arrived. She turned slowly. Adam stood just inside the doorway, calm and composed, his posture relaxed but firm. He didn't look impressed or nervous. He looked certain. His eyes searched the room once, then settled on Lena. When he saw her, his expression softened, as if the noise around them no longer mattered. Lena's heart raced, but her face stayed. Still, whispers began to spread. Curious looks followed him as he walked forward. People noticed his confidence, the way he carried himself like he belonged there. Questions formed silently on their faces. Her parents noticed last. Her mother was laughing with a relative when she caught sight of him. The smile froze. Confusion replaced it. She leaned forward slightly, trying to understand what she was seeing. Lena's father followed her gaze. His laughter stopped at once. His hand lowered slowly. Glass forgotten. Adam didn't rush. He approached them directly, stopping a respectful distance away. "Good evening," he said calmly. "I'm Adam." Silence dropped hard between them. Lena's mother blinked. "I'm sorry." Adam smiled politely. "Adam, Lena's fiancé." The word landed like a sudden weight. The room felt smaller now. Too quiet. Too aware. Lena stepped forward before anyone could speak. She felt every eye on her, felt the pull of expectation, the hunger for drama. This was the moment she had imagined so many times. The moment she could let years of hurt spill out. She could list every joke, every doubt, every public smile that hid private disbelief. Her parents looked at her now, stunned. Her mother's face drained of color. Her father stood stiff, caught between pride and shock. "You never said," her mother began. "I did," Lena said gently. Many times. Her voice was steady. That surprised her most. A few relatives shifted uncomfortably. Someone cleared their throat. Salah watched from a distance, tense but hopeful. Lena felt the urge rise again, the sharp, tempting urge to push. Further. To make them explain themselves out loud. To force an apology in front of everyone who had laughed. Adam glanced at her, reading her silence. He didn't interrupt. He trusted her. Lena took a breath. "This isn't about proving anything," she said. "I didn't ask Adam to come so you'd feel embarrassed." Her father frowned, confused. "Then why?" "Because I was tired," Lena replied. "Tired of being talked about like I wasn't honest. Tired of being joked about in front of everyone." Her mother's eyes filled slightly. "We were only worried." "I know," Lena said. "But worry doesn't excuse disrespect." The word hung in the air. Her father opened his mouth, then closed it again. For once, he didn't have a ready answer. Adam spoke then, his tone calm and respectful. "I didn't come here to cause tension," he said. "I came because Lena deserves to be trusted." That was it. No accusation, no anger. Just truth. Lena felt something ease inside her. She realized then how close she had been to crossing a line. One sharp comment, one public accusation, and the moment would have turned bitter. The satisfaction would have been quick, but the damage lasting. She chose another path. We can talk later, Lena said, looking at her parents. Not here. Relief flickered across her mother's face, mixed with regret. Her father nodded slowly, his pride bruised but intact. The room breathed again. Conversations restarted in low tones. The tension didn't vanish, but it softened. People pretended to return to the celebration, though their curiosity lingered. Lena stepped back, Adam at her side. Her hands trembled now that the moment had passed. She hadn't said everything she felt. She hadn't needed to. As they moved away, Sana caught her arm briefly. You handled that well, she whispered. Lena nodded, though her chest still felt tight. She hadn't taken revenge the way she once imagined. There had been no dramatic exposure, no sharp victory. But she had taken control of the story. Her parents watched her from across the room. Her mother's expression was unreadable now. Her father looked thoughtful, unsettled. Lena knew this wasn't the end. Conversations would follow. Some would be uncomfortable. Some might hurt. That the truth was no longer hidden. It stood quietly in the open, undeniable. She looked at Adam, who gave her a small, reassuring smile. You okay? He asked softly. Yes, she said after a moment. And she meant it. She understood now that revenge didn't always come with raised voices or public shame. Sometimes it came as restraint, as the choice not to strike when you had the chance. Lena had faced the moment she'd waited for and chosen not to wound back. That didn't erase the past, but it changed the future. As the engagement music swelled again, and the night moved forward, Lena felt something new settle inside her. Not triumph, not regret, but strength. She had stood her ground. And that, she realized, was enough. The celebration slowly returned to its rhythm, but nothing felt the same to Lena. The music played, people laughed, and plates were passed around. Yet an invisible line now divided the night into before and after. She stayed close to Adam, not out of fear, but because his calm presence anchored her. Her parents didn't approach her right away. They spoke quietly with relatives, their expressions serious, careful. Lena noticed how often her mother glanced in her direction, how her father stood a little straighter, as if trying to regain control of something he had lost. For the first time, they looked unsure. Lena felt tired, but it wasn't the heavy exhaustion she usually carried home from family events. This tiredness felt clean, like effort well spent. She and Adam stepped outside once more, away from the noise. The air was cool, steady. Lena rested her hands on the railing and looked out at the city lights. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. You didn't go as far as you could have, Adam said gently. I know, Lena replied. I thought about it. And I realized I didn't want them hurt, she said. I wanted them honest. Adam nodded. That takes more strength. Lena let those words settle. Strength. She had always thought strength meant endurance, staying quiet, letting things pass. Tonight had shown her something different. Behind them, the terrace door opened. Her mother stepped out slowly, her eyes uncertain. Lena turned to face her. Lena, her mother said softly. Can we talk? Lena nodded. Yes. Her mother hesitated, then spoke, her voice lower than usual. We shouldn't have joked. We didn't realize how it sounded, Lena listened, saying nothing. Her mother's hands twisted together. "We were afraid," she admitted. "Afraid you were alone and pretending not to be. Afraid of what people would say." "That fear hurt me," Lena said calmly. "More than silence would have." Her mother's eyes filled. She nodded, accepting the words without defense. "I see that now." A few minutes later, her father joined them. He cleared his throat, uncomfortable. "I should have stopped it," he said. "I didn't. It wasn't a perfect apology. But it was real." Lena felt something ease in her chest. Not everything healed, but something important shifted. They returned inside together. The hall felt smaller now, more honest. Some relatives avoided Lena's gaze. Others smiled awkwardly. She didn't mind. Their opinions no longer held the same weight. As the night came to an end, goodbyes were exchanged. Lena hugged Sana, thanked her, and wished the couple well. When she finally stepped outside with Adam, the noise of the celebration faded behind them. In the quiet of the parking lot, Lena paused. The night air felt lighter than before. "Do you feel satisfied?" Adam asked. Lena thought carefully. "Not in the way I expected," she said. "But I feel free." They walked slowly, their steps in sync. Lena reflected on the choice she had made. Revenge had been within reach. She could have spoken louder, sharper, made her parents small in front of everyone. For a moment, that idea had felt powerful, but power without purpose fades fast. What remained instead was clarity. Her parents had seen her, truly seen her, not because she attacked them, but because she stood firm without cruelty. The cost of revenge would have been more distance, more bitterness. She had chosen another cost: honesty and change. Lena knew the road ahead wouldn't be perfect. Old habits didn't vanish in one night. But something had been reset. Boundaries drawn. Respect demanded and at least partly given. As they reached the car, Lena looked back at the hall one last time. She didn't feel anger anymore. She felt understanding, and with it, peace. Revenge, she realized, promises satisfaction but often delivers emptiness. Healing, though slower and harder, leaves something solid behind. She got into the car, closed the door, and exhaled deeply. For the first time in a long while, she wasn't carrying the weight of unspoken truth. Thought of her. The engine started, and they drove away. The night behind her held laughter, mistakes, and lessons learned. The road ahead felt open. Lena smiled quietly, knowing she had chosen not just dignity, but herself.